We're Amy and Christina, two moms who learned the hard way that there's a lot we wish we knew about pregnancy and parenting.
So now we're asking experts all the questions, sharing what we've learned and what we're still figuring out, and keeping it real along the way. Welcome to What I Wish I Knew. Hey everyone, Christina here. I'm riding solo this episode, and I'm so excited to talk to you about one of my personal favorite topics, which is perimenopause. I have sat down with someone that I've followed for a really long time. Her name is Michaela North. She is a former CrossFit Games champion and the founder of Hungry Fitness. So she and I are going to talk about WTF is perimenopause and how should we be tackling this transition in our lives. This is definitely a hot topic these days. And as a 38-year-old, it's something that I'm very much aware of, especially as can we still call it postpartum over a year in? I'm going to still call it postpartum. We're going to talk about hormone fluctuations, muscle loss, how to build strength, fuel properly, and support your body through this transition of perimenopause. And I think this is honestly the permission slip that so many of us need. She's going to give us the formula, and she does it in a way that's so authentic. I really love her for it. And so I can't wait for you to hear this. We're going to dive right in. So let's hit it, Michaela. Let's talk about perimenopause because it's something you're focusing on a lot, right? Too. I've noticed lately in your content.
A lot of women looking for answers in perimenopause.
Yeah.
I think sometimes women are looking for this just like mind-blowing solution, and it feels silly to be pushing content on perimenopause when it's like, okay, I'm going to tell you to sleep. I'm going to tell you to lift heavy. I'm going to tell you to recover, and it just matters more now that our hormones are declining. So sometimes I hesitate to post, but then at the same time, I think women are just looking for answers. And so
Yes.
I have put more emphasis on sharing because of that. And because we work with women that are seeing amazing results every day in perimenopause. And so I'm like, if we can just corral them over here, if they're looking for answers, then we would love to provide education that's going to help them feel empowered. But I think a lot of times, and there is a lot of misinformation out there too, of like, take
So
this
much.
supplement, do this crazy thing, and it's going to solve all your problems. And so I think,
Especially now in the world of GLP-1s and
yeah,
Ozempic, it's kind of like
you're like, which peptide do I need to be on? That's the solution. And I don't think that like GLP-1s or peptides are bad. I just think I think it's overwhelming to know what to do. And so our kind of mission since day one is to just give education so women know their options. Like, know what your options are, know kind of maybe how you can set yourself up for success. Know if you are going to look into some more support, whether that's HRT or GLP-1s or other peptides, know what your kind of pros and cons are. And so that you can make an informed decision for you, because that's probably going to be different than your neighbor too. Like, we're all going to experience perimenopause differently. And so what someone else might want for support might look different than what you want. And I think knowing the layers of options can be really helpful. And also knowing like whether you're doing a GLP-1 or whether you're doing a peptide or whether you're doing HRT, like focusing on the foundational things through nutrition and all the free things first, I think is really beneficial, because no matter what you decide maybe you need for additional support, you're going to feel a lot better if you're focusing on those things first. So
yeah. It's good just to have a foundation and then investigate from there. Okay,
yeah.
so let me just rewind, because how do I know you anyway? So I actually found you, Michaela, through Julie from Paleo OMG.
I love Julie. She's the best.
She seems
And I have to credit her to a lot of my relationships. I feel like she just is so generous with her kindness that I think I love her forever for it. She's brought some people that are amazing into my life. So
it's so cool to see the people that you watch on Instagram that you feel like are your friends.
Yeah.
Right?
I love it.
Be so genuine and real, right? Because it's sometimes and this is no offense to you, Michaela, you look at somebody like you and it's it feels like you're doing it all, but you're also so real about it. And that's something that has drew me into a lot of your programs, right? So
that's my hope, is that I can share some things, but also that people know I have a laundry room that's just pouring out with laundry right now. And we're just hanging in there most of the time.
You've got the kids, you're constantly on the sports field. Like sometimes we all have to eat out, and that's okay.
Absolutely. Yes. People sometimes will be like, "Oh, do your kids eat this?" I'm like, "Yeah, we have pretty balanced look on things over here. Like we're not trying to restrict things but like talk about how we feel when we eat certain things and how
Sure.
can we fuel ourselves and how can we get sleep while our brains are developing and beyond."
Yeah.
I need sleep so I can thrive. So, yeah, I just
Same. Sleep.
what is
Yeah,
sleep?
I mean, like, because I have a 5-year-old and a 10-month-old, so sleep is
Oh,
like
yeah.
we're starting to get back, but we're at like the point where the 5-year-old's having nightmares. So it's like,
Mhm.
oh, and now that the 10-month-old's sleeping through the night, now the 5-year-old's like, I had a nightmare. I'm like, when does it end?
It's never, yeah. I know. I think it doesn't ever end, but the frequency becomes like it gets less.
Yeah.
Now my husband and I will have like a bad night with one of our kids and we're like, "Oh, like give me the caffeine. How did we even do it for months on end?" And I think when you're in it, you just do what you got to do. And I think recognizing too though, when that's the case, like how can you support yourself in this stage where you're not a superhuman and you have work and you have kids, but you also want to take care of yourself and feel good. So, like, what does that look like?
Sure. And like, it's okay, Michaela, how did you start on this whole journey? Was it like after your first kid, or were you into working out before you had kids and then you had a kid and you were like, oh my God, this is just, where did it tell me everything?
Okay, so I have always been an athlete. I would say I've always like really enjoyed challenging myself physically and having something to work towards,
Yeah.
especially physically. I think I was naturally inclined. Like I remember in elementary school doing the 40-yard dash at PE and like beating some of the boys and being like, "Oh,
That's what's
that
up.
was fun. That was
Yeah.
cool." Like doing push-ups and like same thing and so I think that I felt like that brought me a lot of joy to beat boys, yes, but also to feel strong and capable and be like, this is really fun for me. And so I pursued track and field. I did other sports, but I ended up running track and field in college and had such a positive experience with pushing my body and learning so much through doing hard physical things, like what I was capable of. And the main thing I learned was that I'm capable of so much more than I am aware. And so that translated to really like every area of my life at a young age, but also made me recognize how important pushing myself physically is. And now there's so much more research on that, right? Like let's see, is it our anterior mid cingulate cortex that actually grows? Like a part of our brain grows when we do hard things and
Hmm.
hard physical things. They're showing like a much more of a correlation between doing hard physical things and other things. But like when we do things we don't want to do that are hard, part of our brain grows and that is our
So
will
cool.
to live. And so you see people, I think we all want life to be easier, but just like remembering that just those little doses of doing hard things can help us feel our best. And so that is a big passion of mine and has been, I think, for a long time. And showing women, especially, like how much they're capable of and that they don't need to fear being their strongest self is something that fuels me for sure. And then fast forward post college track and field, like I was an athlete. I trained like an athlete. I had coaches telling me what to do, and I loved
Yeah.
that. I graduated and didn't have any athletic goals. I was newly married. And just I had a new job. I was working in advertising. I didn't think that fitness was like something I could pursue career-wise at the time.
Who did that back in the day?
Yeah, and I was I also was there was a huge transition for me from like training 2 to 5 hours a day to now not
Hmm.
working out, working full time, feeling my body change, being newlywed, like making all these like new pasta dishes and stuff and being like, what's going on here? Things are looking different, things are feeling different. Like, what do I do? And so I had to kind of redefine what I wanted fitness to look like for me. So I kind of got into running. I fell into the like, well, maybe that's what everyone does is run. And then I kind of got into like, how can I be my smallest self possible? Which
Mm.
uh,
Danger.
was not ideal, but I learned so much from it.
Yeah.
And to kind of fast forward, I found CrossFit. And my mind was like immediately blown because I think after athletics, the media, like everything I looked at was like, how can you be smaller? How can you be skinnier? How can you be kind of just that? I don't even need to explain myself. Every woman knows.
I remember.
And I've always been muscular and athletic. Like I valued that. I felt a little like an outsider growing up. I think just being more muscular. A
Mhm.
lot of my friends weren't, but it was
Yeah.
something that I was aware of. And I was like, oh, now I can just focus on being smaller. And then I found CrossFit and I was like, walked into that gym and seeing so many people working on being their strongest self and like having visible muscle and wanting to just keep being stronger and more fit was so inspiring to me. Instead of like, I'm going to go grind it out on the treadmill and see if I can
Yeah.
pound lighter, I instantly, and then watching the CrossFit games, I was like, oh my gosh, these women are
So
incredible.
cool.
And I was so inspired. And so I like dove headfirst into the deep end on CrossFit. I got certified. I also, at that time, I was looking into nutrition. I was so passionate about nutrition as I was getting certified in CrossFit and they like threw me into coaching, threw me into personal training. I was doing all of that right out the gate and quit my marketing job that I thought was my dream job. I was like,
Absolutely not. Nope.
going to have a career in health and fitness and this is so cool. And I knew I wanted to be a mom and I knew like the trajectory of an ad agency was like more hours, more pressure, more
Yep.
clients, not what I wanted. And so I loved the flexibility of coaching and kind of creating my own schedule. And um yeah, I did that for the next couple of years, planned on doing it long term. Was also competing in CrossFit at the time. It was like
I
I
was
had an
about to say, you competed in the CrossFit Games. You just didn't do
yeah.
CrossFit and talk. You competed. Like that is
Yeah,
so
I think
huge.
so I competed on team to begin and then I had twins in
Off
2013.
the bat,
Yeah.
twins.
And so that like
Dive
really
right in.
that changed my plan for coaching and so I at that time I went to online. Like all my
Yeah.
clients, they were local at the time, but I just moved them to like let's do email check-ins instead of in person. I started to write online programming and but my main goal was still to compete. And so I came back and competed. It had a couple more
Wow.
babies, competed individually and on the team for CrossFit. Ended up winning the CrossFit Games as a team in 2017 and had the best experience.
I'm listening to you and I'm like, I resonate so much because I played soccer in high school. I did not play in college because I was like, I wanted to play club. It was basically like being on the school's team. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not doing this. But I worked at Under Armour after I graduated and I found CrossFit. And it was the first place where I felt like strong was actually an asset as opposed to being skinny. And I could go there and I could throw weight around and you know what I mean? And it was like that gave me so much confidence and it changed the way that I looked at food. It was just, I know
Yeah.
that some people don't love CrossFit, but for me, it changed the game in the same way that it seems like it changed it for you. It was like I'm a former athlete. I want to still be competitive. I want the community, and it was a nice accountability. And I found though, as I became a mother,
Community was so fun too.
I know so much fun. And then like the games, it just like you felt like you belonged, and I feel like that was cool. But my question for you is like, you had babies in an interesting time at CrossFit, right? Like because you're going back. But also, I feel like so much has changed since you had your babies. If you were to have a baby right now, how would you have changed your programming from when you were in CrossFit then?
It's hard because so with my twin pregnancy, I had about a 6 to 8 centimeter diastasis. And so it was big. And at the time, the education around diastasis recti was so poor.
Yeah,
And it was like, okay, don't do anything except these little tiny exercises and breath work and walking. And I was trying to go
absolutely
to the
not.
CrossFit Games. Like, I'm just going to ignore this problem and we're just going to keep lifting hard and we're going to keep going because that's not an option. Like, I have
Right.
goals that I'm really excited about. So I I probably would have taken a more integrated approach. I know so much more now. Like I would have worked on
Yeah.
managing pressure and rehabbing as much as I could while still training and doing the things that I was doing. Now I don't have that desire to compete at the CrossFit Games. I just have so much more education now around postpartum and healing and recovery and also I learned a lot through other coaches. Like Brianna Battles I had her coach me through my
Yeah.
third pregnancy, which was coming off of the CrossFit Games, I knew like, okay, I've had this diastasis now for 5 years. I'm done competing. I want to make sure I do what I can through this pregnancy and postpartum, that I feel really good moving forward. And I learned a lot in that phase. And I think too, I have 4 kids now. I had 3 pregnancies. With each one, you just learn more. And I had so much more perspective with each one of like, okay, I mean, it's a short period of time, but it's also forever, right? So, but just allowing myself to be okay with what was in that
Yeah.
moment of time, and not being scared that like I would forever be broken. It's like, no, okay, this is
Right.
a transition, just like perimenopause. This is a transition, and I can support my body so that I feel my best through it, or I can fight it and feel terrible. And um, with each pregnancy, like I was way more patient with myself and just way less worried about, way less fear based with my actions, for
Yeah.
sure.
What I love about how you position everything is a learning. You have no mistakes, you have no failures, you treat everything as a learning, and that's so cool.
That is definitely something that's a big value of mine. I don't know where I learned that, but I think everyone that inspires me in life has had failures, you know? So it's like it's an opportunity for growth and like introspection, and how sad to not be able to fail at things too. I've had so many big failures, public failures, like especially in athletics, and I've learned so much from them. And so that's something that I'm really passionate about as a mom.
Let's talk about perimenopause. So, how do we define perimenopause these days? I know you're not a doctor, but like when you are talking about it, like what is it?
Okay, so perimenopause is going to be that 5 to 10 year transition leading up to menopause. And women can start to feel symptoms of perimenopause in as early as mid 30s. But essentially, it is that communication with our ovaries to our brain. So I kind of like to think of it as like we had a landline, we had constant communication. We had a smooth back and forth. And now we're like on our cell phones and it's a little spotty. And we're not, the signal isn't always there. And as our estrogen and progesterone fluctuate wildly, it's kind of like a roller coaster effect. It's not a gradual decline. And so we start to feel that effect in our mood. We start to feel just off in perimenopause.
Hmm.
And as estrogen is declining, progesterone is kind of like, picture that roller coaster. So as we have those
Yeah.
peaks in progesterone, there's a pretty big gap between our estrogen and progesterone. And as we have less support from progesterone, we definitely start to feel that. We have maybe heavier cycles, we have
Mm,
irregular ovulation, maybe mood swings, starting to kind of feel like wired and tired. Those are all really common symptoms in perimenopause with those sort of wild hormone fluctuations. And at the same time, testosterone and DHEA are declining, so that's going to impact our mood, our muscle, our ability to put on muscle, our libido. And then at the same time, if we're under fueling and our stress is elevated, our cortisol can be elevated for longer periods of time. So kind of all of those things happening at once can cause us to feel a little bit crazy and a little bit like foreign in our own bodies. And also with hormone fluctuations and with kind of cortisol changes, we also experience a redistribution of body fat. So we might not be putting on more fat, but where we are seeing that fat, which for
hmm.
most women, I think our waist is kind of like the barometer, like how
That's
we're
me.
doing.
That's
And
me.
oh,
I said that's me. That's exactly what's happening with me. Hmm.
yeah. And
That's
so I
me.
think like we go to put on our pants and we're like, wait a minute, why are these tighter? I'm fat. I'm getting fatter everywhere. Where a lot of times it's just our body fat now is kind of redistributing, more similar to like a male, like more around the midsection. And that can be really frustrating if on top of the increase in body fat potentially, we're also maybe feeling like sleep disruption. So now we're more tired throughout the day. We're recovering less. We're having a harder time potentially building muscle. Our PMS symptoms are more intense and we're just feeling off. And then not getting answers can be very frustrating. Like, what do? I feel broken. I feel foreign in my own body. And I think that the thing that I would love for women to know is that it's not like an on-off switch. Our body's kind of recalibrating in this transition, and we can thrive in this transition. We can feel really good, but it's going to take a more intentional, supportive approach, and just more awareness of what's happening with our physiology, and and then having our training and our nutrition and our habits support that is going to be really key. Like doing what we did in our 20s is probably not going to serve us here. And I think that's one that most women are like, well, I'm just going to do what I used to do. Well, why isn't that working? Something's
Right.
wrong. Right. And it's not that something's wrong, but our bodies are changing and we need to be aware of that and adapt accordingly. So we are supported in this transition.
Yeah. And I feel like what we're fed as women too is like, just eat less and move more and you'll be fine. And like
Right.
that's the equation. But like that isn't really the equation anymore, is it?
Eating less and moving more, it's an oversimplified approach. And I think it doesn't it doesn't allow for nuance. And I think the problem with the eat less, move more approach is not that it's incorrect. Like we still need a calorie deficit to lose body fat. But if we're coming from chronically under eating and overtraining and we're under recovered, then throwing like an aggressive calorie deficit at someone is not going to yield success. In fact, it usually makes people it's impossible for them to sustain one, and it leaves them feeling even worse because they're adding more stress on their body. Maybe they're pushing intensity harder when they're already taxed and under recovered and under fueled. And so then they're not able to stick to a calorie deficit. So it leads a lot of women into like a restrict binge cycle. And
That's
is not ideal.
dangerous.
It's not ideal.
That's so, well, yeah, because you think about most of the things that people do. Well, we skip breakfast,
Yep.
right?
We
That's a
caffeinate.
big one. We caffeinate our way through breakfast. Like, so first of all, let's pick that apart.
Yeah.
Should we be like, here are the things that I've heard that I should do instead. Warm water with lemon before I have coffee. Wait 30 minutes. What should I be doing before I have coffee? Give me my morning routine.
Train fasted, right? Train fasted. That's the thing that everyone says. Train fast. Like this is what is pretty common, actually. What we see often is women come in and they are maybe working out fasted, which may or may not be okay, like depending on what time of day you're working out, right? But most women are working out. Maybe they're working out mid morning. They're not eating breakfast. They're not fueled. They're caffeinating. So which isn't necessarily bad, but if they're already stressed out and their body's already taxed, like maybe that's adding more stress when they really should be not doing more intensity. They're doing high intensity training when they're training. They're not prioritizing building muscle. And they're coming off of very little sleep. And then they're not focused on protein intake. And so like all of those things, then later in the day or later in the week, they're under fueled, they're overtraining, and then hunger is really high and stress is really high. So they have a hard time. Like maybe they ate low calorie a few days of the week, but the rest of the week they're making up for that. So now they're feeling the stress of a calorie deficit, but they're not yielding the results from one. And that's really frustrating. So instead, what we have found is if women can just allow themselves a second to put their body in a really safe place, fueling your body, getting enough protein, eating in your maintenance range so that you are able to have energy throughout the day, you're able to train hard. And then with training, implementing strength training, like building muscle that's going to support you, that's going to help your metabolism, that's going to help you with your longevity, that's going to help you be more functional. That is going to be so beneficial for you. And then I think as far as like moving more goes, just being intentional. Like we can still do high intensity exercise in perimenopause. We're not like incapable of that anymore, but the dose matters. We're going to be more sensitive to an energy deficit and we're going to be more sensitive to stress in this stage. And we're probably not sleeping as well. So piling on a bunch of high intensity training and like just full throttling that isn't going to allow for us to recover very well, likely. So just thinking about that, like, okay, if I want to build muscle, that's priority number one. I'm going to lift 2 to 3, maybe 4 days per week, and and make sure I am able to push hard in my training, challenge myself, but still recover. And then maybe I decide, okay, I still want to do some high intensity training. That feels really good for me. I love how I feel mentally and physically with that. I'm going to start with 1 to 2 days per week and see, how am I recovering? Am I feeling like wired and tired? Am I feeling really sore? Am I having a hard time? Am I wanting to like overeat? I'm feeling really hungry. Am I having a hard time sleeping? Pay attention to your biofeedback. If your body's telling you you're not feeling good, then maybe cut back on that. And it's not that you can't do it anymore, but I think being really intentional with the dose matters. And you can do other movement, getting in steps, getting in zone 2 cardio, getting in movement that's going to support your nervous system and your health, I think is really valuable in this stage of life. So, from someone who gets it, like I was a competitive CrossFit athlete, I've trained with intensity for the majority of my life, but I recognize like I have to do things differently now to my best. And also, we have, not only do we not have hormones maybe on our side in this stage of life, but like the mental load is very high
Oh my
from
God.
us. Most of our clients are working high demand jobs, or they have multiple children, or they have both. And so it's like we have a lot going on. And to think that we can just train like we did in our 20s, where maybe all we had to worry about was ourself and like hitting the grocery store at 8 p.m. to make dinner, and then we're doing ourselves a really big disservice. Back to kind of eat less, move more. I think that was the main question. It's
Yeah.
not that we don't need a calorie deficit for fat loss, but I think a lot of women would be better served to focus on getting their body in a place where it's thriving so that they can feel their best first. And then it maybe they don't need a calorie deficit. Maybe they're able to see, many women that we coach are able to see a drop in body fat and an increase in muscle mass, which is really what most of them want, whether they know it or not. They're feeling better, they're feeling stronger, they're feeling fueled, their
Yeah.
body is changing in a positive way, and that feels really good. But if not, if you still want to lose body fat more aggressively, you're setting yourself up really well to then implement a slight calorie deficit and be able to handle that stress and feel good through it and have it be sustainable. So I think if you can get rid of the fear of like and the desperation for like I need to lose body fat yesterday, and
Yeah.
be willing to maybe try a different approach. Like a year is going to go by either way. So you might as well set
Sure.
yourself up to feel really good a year from now than to push more intensity and less food and leave you just feeling terrible in a year
Absolutely
and
awful.
feel just as frustrated.
So what is the benefit of building muscle? Because like a lot of women have been conditioned to fear muscle, like in favor of the word toned, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
They want
what
to be
is the
toned. They don't want to build muscle. Got
yeah,
it.
right, which feels
Want to
like the
tone.
same thing, but like what's the message to women who are scared to put on muscle that might benefit actually in perimenopause?
As our estrogen declines, our lean tissue is going to also decline. Our bone mineral density is going to decline. These are things that are really critical to women in the second chapter of life. And so by being afraid to put on too much size, we are essentially setting ourselves up to not be functional in the second half of life. And not only is muscle really important for longevity and health, it also benefits our metabolism. So if we are losing muscle, then the amount of calories we can intake in a day is going down with that. And so I think instead of, and I get it, maybe you have more body fat than you want right now. And the thought of like building muscle and getting bigger, it feels very scary.
Hmm.
I get that. I get that. I get that fear. But the reality is, I have yet to meet a woman that just puts on a ton of size by strength training in just overnight. Like I mean, we are working our butts off to build muscle and it is hard to do. And so
Mhm.
the reality is maybe you start lifting and implement strength training and maybe you put on a few pounds of muscle over the next year. That's fantastic. You're going to feel stronger. You're going to see that visible change in your body. You're going to be more confident. I also have yet to meet a woman that hasn't implemented strength training and had that translate to more confidence in every area of her life. Like you feel strong and capable and empowered. And that is so much more valuable than trying to shrink yourself in size. But also building muscle is going to yield like that's youth. That's going to give you more energy. That's going to help you feel better as you age. Where I think many people middle aged and beyond experience a lot of aches and pains and like
Totally.
lifting regularly is going to be such a game changer for you. And so I think
Keep you limber, baby.
yeah, for sure. I think just like instead of thinking about like, I want to be smaller, like thinking about how can I build a body that feels really strong and capable for the rest of my life? And
Yeah,
that's
to
so much,
run after these kids.
yeah. And also, um, if you want to look toned, it's kind of a combination of like having enough muscle that is it's visible on your body and being at a body fat percentage where you can see it. So most women need to build more muscle in order for that to happen. It's not just a
Mhm.
matter of like lose more fat. It's that yeah, you if you lose more fat, you'll get smaller, but that doesn't mean you're going to have visible muscle tone that a lot of women are looking for. So don't I mean and also one thing I tell my clients is let's cross that bridge when we get there. Like if you feel like you're putting on too much muscle, then we can always adjust. Like that's a
Yeah.
very easy thing to do. But I have yet to see that happen.
You have to have that conversation.
Yes. So don't let your fear of like turning into the Hulk keep you from yielding the benefits that you're going to feel from lifting weights.
Totally. So that's one half of the equation. The other half of the equation is nutrition and like how we fuel our bodies. You mentioned earlier the importance of protein.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming that's to help with muscle building. Or what other benefits does
Yeah.
protein have in
Protein
perimenopause?
is really beneficial for building muscle. So that's, I would say, number one. But also protein, well, there's a few benefits. Protein has the highest thermic effect of any macronutrient. So if we're eating more protein and we're eating the same calories, let's say we're eating 2,000 calories and we're having 50 grams of protein a day. Um, we and we're eating 2,000 calories and we're having 150 grams of protein per day. Our body's naturally just burning more calories to digest that protein at 150 grams than we would at 50. So just by keeping calories the same and increasing protein, now we're burning more calories throughout the day. That's not like a huge thing, but it's something to consider. And that has an impact on also how we feel. So the more protein we're eating, protein is very satiating. So I love protein for like really focusing and prioritizing protein intake first for my clients that want to lose body fat. Because if
Mm,
you are eating more protein throughout the day, you're going to just be more full.
yeah.
Eating a chicken breast is going to fill you up a lot more than eating a bagel. So it's not that it needs
Bagel is so delicious.
and that's what I was going to say. Not that it needs to be all or nothing, right? But it's a matter of fueling your body in a way that you can build muscle, be satiated throughout the day, have consistent energy levels, feel your best, but also incorporating the foods that you enjoy and love. And I think both of those things are possible.
Yeah. So if somebody were listening to this and they were like, crap, like that's me, which is basically me. Um, what are some things that like a woman like me should start doing? Right? I'm 38 years old. I've got the fat in the middle. I'm postpartum. I'm just coming back into it. Tell Christina what to do.
Yeah. So I think, well, first of all, you don't need to overhaul everything you're doing overnight. That's not necessary. And just you can start with keeping it simple. getting in 2 to 3 strength training sessions per week, having those be intentional to where you're prioritizing building muscle. So maybe not like jumping from program to program, but being on a consistent lifting schedule so that you can get used to the movements, push your body, maybe track your weight and like challenge yourself week to week so that your focus is building muscle when you're lifting. That's probably number 1. Well, actually, I lied. That's probably number 2. Number 1 would be prioritizing sleep and stress management, which can be hard to do in this stage, right? You have not only a little one, but also if as hormones are fluctuating and changing, that's impacting how well you sleep. And so some kind of simple things, and giving yourself grace because you're just in a stage of life where it's like, it is what it is. But getting outside more, getting outside, getting sunlight, maybe that's a kind of a free option. Drinking your coffee in the morning outside if you can. Maybe getting outside for like a short walk around the block in the evenings so your body is aware what time of day it is. And that's going to support your melatonin production, your cortisol production, which is going to help with falling asleep, having a little bit more restful sleep. So and then doing what you can on the stress side. That's one that is really hard to do, but like, what can you potentially automate? What can you maybe delegate to others? Or what can you eliminate? Like maybe we don't need to do all the extra things at this time of life. Like maybe we say no more because we're prioritizing just having less of a mental load on ourselves in this stage where sleep is lower. Doing what you can to improve sleep, knowing that like it doesn't need to be all or nothing either, would probably be my number ones. So sleep, a little bit of sleep hygiene, a little bit of weight training, and then from there, when you're eating, getting 30 to 40 grams of protein in with your meals. I think that's a really good one to focus on. Like you don't have to hit a daily protein goal. You don't have to hit a daily calorie goal. Like just as you're going to eat, prioritize protein with your meals, center your meals around protein and start to notice the benefit you feel from that. You're going to support building muscle. You're going to feel more satiated. So you're going to have probably fewer cravings and less of a need to kind of like overeat. And with that, like probably eat early in the day because from what I've noticed, if we're skipping breakfast, we're usually making up for that more than we would have if we'd eaten breakfast in later in the day. I know
Yeah.
I can't even outrun that. Like with everything I know, I still if I have a busy chaotic morning and I skip breakfast, I'm like, I'm not hungry. I'm getting kids out the door. It's fine. Like it hits around 4 p.m.
Mhm.
dinner and I have a really hard time even withstanding that with everything I know. Like I know better. But it's don't think you can just outsmart your hunger and
Yeah.
fueling your body early in the day is going to help you manage stress better. It's going to give you more energy. And then it's going to really like support you in making better decisions for yourself later in the day too. So those things can take you so far. And I don't think you even need to do all of them at once. Like focus on 1 to 2, get consistent with them and then add more. And just like every stage, just like in postpartum and perimenopause, like knowing that those little changes and little habits are going to add up over time. And it doesn't have to be overnight. Like you feeling better each week should be a good indication of like things are working and I'm just going to keep going. And I don't need to be overhauling my life to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of my favorite things that you say a lot of times is 80/20.
Yeah. Something over nothing. Like truly, that is, and flexibility. If we really try to provide education and strategies for our clients at Hungry Fitness because the more education you have, the more tools you have, and the more flexible you can be. It's like as simple as, okay, I'm a little sleep deprived today. I had a hard workout planned. What else can I do? Or I can't make it to the gym. All right, well, what can I do with these dumbbells in my living room right now? It's not just like, well, I couldn't get that 90-minute workout and I'm not doing anything. It's easy to go there though. So I think remembering that what's something I can do? Maybe I can't hit this goal 100% today, but or this habit, what's something I can do that's going to check the box and bring my intention there, knowing that's going to move the needle in the direction that I want to be going. And that's enough. And our 100% is going to look different at different stages of life. And that's okay too.
I love
There's
that.
the full throttle and there's times to like take it
Totally.
back and that's okay.
So there's a couple of things, if I'm going to recap this conversation, that I've learned from you today. One, you're giving us permission to rest and recover. I think that was a big message you mentioned at the beginning, is like, recover more than you think you need to recover.
Yeah, you can always add more. It's really hard if you've overdone it to scale back. Usually that's going to be like sickness, injuries, needing to take off more time than you want to. So starting with like minimal dose on all things and building is very, very beneficial in this stage of life.
Yeah. And actually, though, what I heard is I need to get a sauna in my backyard.
So I support that. I support that, especially not that we're talking on like relationship building, but it can be really hard to get a date night in.
Yeah.
And that is our favorite way to connect too. Like a couple nights a week, the kids are in bed, we're close by if they need us, and we can just feel so much better and have a chance to like, oh hey, how are you over there? So we
I
love
love it.
yeah.
Supported by Michaela. I'm going to tell my husband today. Okay, so focus on recovery, build muscle.
Yeah,
Build
don't
muscle.
fear it. Don't be afraid to build muscle. I promise it will serve you in so many ways. And if like you're not thinking of today, like your future self will thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Plus, who doesn't want a big booty? Come on.
I don't I, I certainly can never be big enough in my opinion. Every day.
Love that dump truck.
Yes.
And and then the last thing was the importance of protein.
Yeah. Yeah. Protein is
Importance of protein. Oh, no. There's 4 things I learned. Habit stacking, right? And I loved that you said, like, do one thing at a time. And I was like,
yeah.
oh, so I don't have to go hike a mountain?
One thing I was going to say about protein intake, because I think it can feel very overwhelming for clients and for women. One thing we love to do with our clients is look at their food logs and give them suggestions on ways to increase just through the they're already eating. Like you don't need to completely change what you're eating. It's usually maybe we add a little bit of cottage cheese here. Maybe we add some breakfast or some turkey bacon or whatever it is, or maybe we add a yogurt with that snack instead of just have fruit. And having like a little bit more education on what protein sources are available to you. And then also knowing it's not, if your ideal protein intake, which for most people is going to be that like 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram. With that being said, you don't need to do that right away. In fact, if you increase your protein from 60 grams to 130 overnight, you're going to have some issues. And same with people around you are not going to appreciate it, but you're going to be gassy, bloated. But doing like 10 to 15 grams increase, maybe 10 to 20 grams increase per week, that's going to feel doable. Your body's going to feel better with that gradual increase too. And in 2 months' time, like you can be to your optimal protein intake and feeling really good. So don't get overwhelmed by increasing your protein. It's usually just kind of eating a little bit more of the foods that you're already eating and adjusting.
And also believe in the magic of cottage cheese. I feel like cottage cheese is like the cauliflower of 2025.
It's so good. And it's like
It's in everything.
everything. There's nothing better than like ground beef, cottage cheese, and eggs to me, like all just mixed up together. Taco season.
Yes. Listen, I'm obsessed with that. The sweet potato, like
And yeah,
ground turkey with taco,
so
and then
good.
the hot honey. Oh my God.
Yeah. The viral hot honey bowl, that one is a great place to start. But I add cottage cheese to my eggs. I add it to my meats. I add it to my soups. If you have a dairy intolerance, maybe not as good. But there are other options too. Like I have those Chomps beef sticks. I eat quite a bit of those, like on the go.
Yeah.
And even just as simple as like getting a rotisserie chicken and throwing that in the mix if you need a quick meal, or canned salmon. There's a lot of options. One that I suggest often to clients is the Kevin's brand chicken meals. Those are fantastic. We have crazy sports nights. We're in that stage of life. And so I will usually have a few of those in my fridge. I can just throw rice in the rice cooker, microwave some veggies at the very least, and then they're like sous vide chicken, and they have sauces and they're really macro friendly. I'll throw those in a pan, and in 10 minutes, I have like a really great, well balanced dinner for my family, and my kids love it. I think the coconut curry is their favorite. So
Thank you, Kevin.
not sponsored by Kevin's, but plug for them. great.
But thank you, Kevin, whoever you are. Thank you. Michaela, the last question that we always ask people is, what do you wish you knew? So what do you wish you knew before you went into your first pregnancy about the impact maybe fitness would have or parenting in general? What's one thing that you would wish you'd known?
Just how resilient I am, and um how giving myself grace would have such a positive impact on me through different transitions and different unknown periods of time. Um But also, I think I was really worried, and I think a lot of women relate to this, in having that first baby or babies in my case, the fear of not feeling and looking the same as I did prior to having babies. That's such a, oh, did you get stretch marks? Oh, did you get loose skin? Oh, I bounced back. You just hear so much, and it can create a lot of fear. And although my body looks nothing like it did pre-babies, I have felt stronger and more proud of my body after babies than I ever thought possible. And so just knowing you can build the body and build the strength that you want moving forward, and that might look different than you imagine, but it doesn't need to be something that you fear. It can be very empowering. And I think that process, going through that process and having that learning and growth is a big part of it. So, like l- taking time to sit with yourself and feel those feelings and validate yourself, but also know that you the growth that you are experiencing through those changes is going to serve you if you embrace it and let it, and you work with your body instead of trying to fight it.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. Working with your body instead of trying to fight it. Your body just might look different now, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. And it's okay to want to make change in your body, but also I think coming from a place of gratitude versus frustration is going to feel a lot better. Instead of being desperate for change, our clients that are the most successful are the ones that are I'm here for the long haul. What do I need to do to really support my body and feel my best in the process? And the ones that come in that are I have to lose this much weight by this date, and I am they're already in a fear victim mindset. Those ones, we have had success over time with working on through those mindset hurdles, but they don't see results in the same way. And I think when we are making decisions from a place of fear, it's very different than when we're making decisions and making choices and implementing habits from a place of an abundance mindset. I maybe I have some things that I want to improve on, but I can do that and also love my body in the process and appreciate everything it's doing to serve me.
Totally. And I think also getting curious, right? Just getting curious about your body is a really big thing. And that's what this whole podcast is about, right? As we enter perimenopause, how do we get curious about our own bodies and what is it that we need to do differently that might not be working? So thank you for doing the education that you do, Michaela, because we all need it.
Yes. And the more I learn, the more I realize I just have more to learn. So there's that
Same,
too.
same, same.
I think I thought I knew everything 15 years ago when I started coaching. And
Absolutely not.
now I'm wow, there's so much to learn. So
Yeah, that's so great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Michaela. Amy isn't here, but we loved having you and learning from you.
thank
And
you
you've been
so
a
much.
really big inspiration. You've changed my whole perspective on fitness as I get older and also food. So thank you so much.
Here. Thank you so much for having me. And if anyone has questions, we're happy to help.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah, let people know where they can find you.
we're all over the place. Where are we? Well, we have coaches actually all over the country and world. We have one coach in Norway, just kind of all over. We're an online nutrition and fitness coaching company. So we have workout programming and we do one-on-one coaching. That is definitely our specialty, is working with women so that they feel really empowered at whatever stage of life they're in. So I'm Hungry Fitness on Instagram. We also have Hungry Fitness Team. And then our website where you can kind of see ways to work with us would just be hungryfitness.co. So
Cool.
thank you.
Go check them out. If you found something helpful, insightful, or just plain reassuring in this episode, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you have a moment, leaving a quick review helps more parents find us.
We're also always looking for great guests, so if you know someone or that someone is you, please reach out. You can find us at whatIwishIknew_ or whatIwishIknew.life.
Thanks for listening. And until next time, stay sane, stay calm, or at least fake it until bedtime.